thank you. Anyways, this whole program started with Caroline asking me if I would do something, and I thought maybe it was an expansion on the collaging. And then we hung the show at Portals, and the girls that I was with, I asked if they would be interested in doing a fabric workshop, and they got very excited. And so this program kind of got born out of that. So today we're gonna see a video of Paulette presenting or doing a bag. We're gonna have a little bit of tips and information. Then we're gonna have some sharing by Ruth. My three cohorts or four cohorts were Paulette McLaren, Ruth Rutledge, Judy Lowood, and Diana Carworth. So they're going to show some of the things that they've been working on. So right now, we're going to probably just watch an 8-minute video of Paulette splashing paint and having some fun.
Okay. This bag, you just do splatters, like what I've done here, because it gets it all dirty, and it doesn't matter if you make mistakes, right? So that's what you should do. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but that's how I would start it. So then I shall just talk about the different things here. I ruled some lines. You don't have to if you don't want to, and I found that even if you use a pencil, it erases really easy after if it bothers you. So the first one I tried was the Zig calligraphy marker, and I used the flat edge chisel, I guess it's called, broad end. Yeah. So I utilized that for this one, and I utilized the the Neuland. You can say it out loud. Neuland, because everybody knows how to do Neuland, and it's a relatively easy. So just go for it. Use your marker and use a Neuland. Then this one, I utilized Pentel, my little pocket brush, Pentel, and it worked not too bad. It's a little rough because it's hard. And then what I had to do is it didn't show up very good, so I had to paint it back in. Like the form was there, but I just retouched it. Then I use, it's becoming fast my favorite pen, and I won't write in here. So I don't know, it's Kuretake pen, and I don't know what the nib is made out of, but anyways, it works like a darn. Like this, I did my italic this way, and then I did you know how you write the pressure release, pressure release, pressure release. So you can do that, doodle on your piece. It's like a practice pad, so just instead of a pad, just do it on your fabric. And I think the italic here was done with this as well. I'm pretty sure it was. Now this one, I use kind of like a Cyrillic, I think it's called. Kind of had an example in front of me, and I utilized my speedball nib, and I really liked it because the speedball, it's a stiff nib, so it's easier to write. So I started with my nib width, and then just did some practice stroke, and you can have all this on your bag. I think it's really neat. So I did a few of the Cyrillic letters just to try it out. And then I like to use the edge just to add some elements here like this. So, and then also with my speedball, I did Unschel here.
And that was with the acrylic ink.
That was with the acrylic ink. This was mixed with just a regular craft glue, you know, what you get in the dollar store. So I spruced up this with some metallic ink. This was done with the jelly roll, not the ones that Nancy Hill uses, but they're a thicker nib. So I utilized that, did the monoline, and here I utilized the pencil. Then I just went for it. I tried to use a ruling pen. I tried to use my Cola ruling pen, and it you know, I mean, I would have liked it to be a little bit much better, but I just wanted to give it a try. So the point is play, have fun. This one worked a little bit better. This is a proper ruling pen. So anything else, Charlotte?
The graphite you did there.
Oh, that was just with my pencil, right? Yeah, this is based on Dennis Brown's calligraphy. So the CA, yeah.
I think too, we were talking about sometimes having to go over the lines to
That's correct, right?
give them
I think it was over here.
the parallel pen.
Oh, it was a parallel pen. But I think this didn't work out very well because it's not a good quality, like it was just a dollar store craft paint, and it just didn't flow properly. So let's see, maybe I can demo here a little bit. Oh, am I in the, it's kind of hard to write, and oh, those poor teachers, right? That have to do video. So this wasn't great. Let's try. I thought I had some India ink, black India ink here that I could just dip in. Okay, let's try that black India ink and see.
That's good.
Try and write with it. Yeah, see that's what Charlotte wanted me to do, is you have to go over your letters, perhaps. Getting the gunk off the edges. Okay, that's... But you treat it like a practice piece, but at the end, like you get a, you know, if nobody knows anything about calligraphy, I mean, gosh, wouldn't that be, you know, perhaps not mine, but yeah.
Great, thanks, Paulette. Okay, so thanks to Paulette for she's on a cruise in Europe on a river cruise, so woohoo. Anyways, I know that a lot of people have tried fabric painting, and I have too, and I thought, like, I need to find out a little bit more about this so that I have more successes than failures. And so I have some samples that are over on the table there. There's a picture that I did for my mother, and I used the old-fashioned fabric paints that you used to find in all the craft stores, and you can see it cracks, and it wasn't really all that successful. So then well, they were actually fabric paints that kind of came in a tube like, what does this do? A tube like this, there. And it just had a squeezed bottle, and you would just draw with it. So, but so then I thought, like, what do you need? You need to have good fabric. And so the fabric you want to use most of the time is a natural fabric. Nylon and polyester is not your friend, but I mean, give it a go if you want. But then there's the question, do I pre-wash my fabric or do I not pre-wash my fabric? And all fabric during manufacturing has chemical sizing, different treatments during manufacturing. So if you want to know if, where is this going to work? Oh, we have to switch. Okay, so we'll switch to the camera and I'll just keep talking.
Yeah, we're getting there. Whoops. Sorry.
All right, so if you take a drop of water and you put it on something that's not washed, you can just see that it just beads up. What's going to happen is your fabric medium or your paint medium is not going to work its way into the fibers and be, long lasting, but especially if you're going to wash something. But if you're not going to wash something, like maybe not worry about it. This is a piece of muslin cloth that hasn't been washed, but just because of the way the fibers are, the water's soaked right in, and you may not be as worried or concerned about pre-washing that. This is a piece of ticking. I loved working with this fabric because the weave is very tight, and the tighter the weave, the better your calligraphy looks. This does have a sizing in it, and it should be pre-washed. So this is your tea towel. Now, the ones that you have there have been pre-washed, but this was a not pre-washed one, and it beaded on the, and even though that's quite a looser weave, it still did that. And then I just have to store those drops somewhere. So that's just a little trick for you, like a little thing to remember. So then I went ahead and I started looking at what sort of mediums would you use. And you can just about use anything that's acrylic, or one of my favorite is this. Is that upside down to the viewers?
As long as it's facing you, it's good for them.
Bombay India ink. I really like it. It's got a nice shellac in it, and it will give you some pretty good results. I also used the Sumi ink, mixed results. I used fabric paint that is dedicated, like you buy it like this PBO brand. It worked pretty good too, but you had to play with the consistency and the viscosity of it. So some good successes with that. So I'm gonna, and then the other thing that I discovered was this fabric medium, which it helps you, when you use a solid acrylic, one of these craft acrylics, they can be crispy and cracky and hard, and the fabric medium helps it become a softer paint and works better on fabric. So those, you have a little sample of that, hopefully. If you don't, we'll get you some. I didn't even experiment with the acrylic inks because I was happy with what I'm going to show you later. So then what I did is I took all my fabrics and I did so I've got samples here. So just as an example, I pre-washed and did not pre-wash, and just to see what kind of results I would get. And I will just show you that A was not pre-washed, and I'm not sure if you can even see any differences, but just to compare, it was for me to compare. This particular fabric, I didn't see a huge difference in the pre-wash and the not pre-wash, but what I did notice is this is the original, so that shows you, nice, crisp, dark. The first line was carbon, like charcoal pencil.
Excuse me, I'm wondering if you could zoom out so we can see your whole your desktop?
Sorry? Yep.
There we go. Thank you.
Here, I'll just show it one at a time. So on all of them, this is the graphite pencil, or not the graphite, carbon. This is a fabric marker that you can get at the fabric stores, Fabric Fun. Oh, Fabric Fun. This is the Sumi ink. This is the thing I'm going to show you today, the secret. This gold is out of that little tube of the old-fashioned fabric paints. This is a Copic sketch pen. This is my PBO fabric paints. And this was my Bombay India ink. So that was the original. And then I heat set this side, and I did not heat this side. And if you can zoom in, if you can, you can see how much of the medium was washed out on this side. This was heat set with an iron, and this wasn't. Now, I'm looking through it all, and I would say, okay, not any difference in the charcoal, very little difference in the fabric marker, big difference for me in the Sumi ink, some difference in the secret ingredient. The squeeze bottle, I mean, who cares? And the Bombay ink too, I noticed a difference. So this was not pre-washed. So I did the same thing with a pre-washed piece. So we'll just use the very same things. And I didn't really notice any big difference on this particular one about what happened with the colors. Maybe a little bit clear.
Did you try any of the protein dyes that they use in batik?
No dyes at this stage. Okay. This is all an acrylic fabric. So this was my ticking that I really like writing on. This was, and so yeah. So I just continued on doing the same experiment with all of these things. This is the original. And then this was, so that if you see on this ticking, this was the Sumi ink, and I had a lot of bleed out on it, which I didn't really like. So then I tried to put a piece of butcher paper behind it to see if I could sort of create a barrier and it wouldn't spread. Still didn't have good success. The secret one, not too bad. The Copic marker, and again, the preheat or the heat set and the not heat set. You can see on these letters that pretty well washed out some of it. This was the, I won't show you everything. These are just for my own purposes to keep, which you might want to try. And this was pre-washed. And I think I had a little bit more success with the pre-washed, as far as whether the medium washed out of it on that one. Then I tried linen, and it's almost impossible to use a pen on linen, but brushes are really good. And I did the same experiment to see what washed out and what didn't wash out. And again, I just kept track of that. I noticed that my graphite really washed out of this one. Oh, sorry. The graphite, this is the original, and this is the washed, and this is the heat set side. So that was interesting for me. And then this is your good old canvas, which is a, sorry, I swore. But I really noticed you had a lot of bleeding with this one, like in here. This is the heat set side, not heat set side. The secret ingredient didn't do too bad, or the fabric, or the Bombay ink, but it did wash out a little bit. So that was just my experiment. Then I did another experiment where I used fabric medium, and I used gouache, which is our secret today, just tube of gouache paint.
This is acrylic gouache.
No, it's gouache, just regular gouache.
Watercolor. It's an opaque water.
Yeah, an opaque watercolor. And so what I did with this one is this is the one where I mixed it with a bit of white acrylic paint, because I really didn't know how to go about adding color, and no fabric medium on this one. And this one was the same thing, which was the acrylic paint of white, the gouache, and the fabric medium. And you can see, like, this is washing out, but this is pretty solid. And then this one is what we're going to do today. It's just the fabric medium and gouache, and I thought the colors were really worked well. So I was quite excited about that. And I did have Carolyn do one picture of before we even started. So I don't know if you can,
Like this picture you sent
Yeah.
me this morning? Okay, that's,
so you can compare the washed to the unwashed, the great unwashed. Sorry.
This fabric medium you're using, it's this, right?
Yes.
What's, is it just called fabric medium? Where do you get it? Where did you buy that?
Call ahead, but I got this at the iron oxide, and it's fairly expensive, but it goes a long way. So buy it with a friend.
and you can usually buy smaller bottles.
Yes, you can buy. I bought a big bottle because I thought we only used about this much. Only used about this much for everybody. This is another textile medium that I found. Oh, you've got the picture
I've
up?
got the picture up you sent me this morning, yeah.
Yeah, so you can see, especially the raw sienna looks better than before it was washed. And yeah, I don't know if it really, if you can't compare side by side, but I thought this just demonstrated that, the fabric medium really made a difference. Okay, and then,
Oh, I had it up on the screen. That's what I had on the screen.
oh, this is a textile fabric medium. Oh, there we go. Textile fabric medium. I don't even know who makes it. I spent $6.95 years ago. It works too, but it's a little more viscous than this one. So then I wanted to play and see if there was a difference. The other thing that when you start your calligraphy, so you've got your fabric, you've got your mediums, now your tools, and you can use any sort of tool. You can use the preloaded brushes. The one thing about anything that uses an acrylic medium is you want to make sure you can wash it. But the brushes that you want to make sure they got a good snapback. So if it's really soft like this one, you're not going to get very far with a clear design. Paulette likes the speedball pens. I do too. And this is my favorite little brush. It's a flat brush. It's got a nice square tip on it. I don't know, can you see that? Nice square edge. It's not expensive, and it's a Da Vinci, and it's for school and hobby. So it's not an expensive brush, which I think is really, really good. And then after you've created your piece, you want to let it dry 24 hours. And because it will continue to set. Then after 24 hours, you're going to heat set with an iron, a hot iron, and then you can wash it if you need to, but you don't have to wash it right away. And the other thing is fabric painting is going to try your patience. And it will require drying time and mixing time, and it will be worth your time. So I'm going to call up the other girls to do, they also tried different things, different mediums and different techniques on different products, so they're going to show and tell what they've done. Okay. Judy, you want to come up first?
Was washability afterwards any concern, or you just, no, don't worry about
It always depends on what you're going to use it for, because if you're not going to, it's just going to be a bag you take to the grocery store, it might not be a big deal.
Oh, wait.
when do you pick which fabric do you want? I'll show you.
Not good?
Just up there, under the camera,
Okay.
and then you'll be able to see it here when you put it on there.
I'm not a teacher, so bear with me here.
Excuse me. Yes, thank you.
Okay, this was my first attempt, and I put a plastic bag inside so that the paint wouldn't go through. And then I got some masking tape and masked all around here, and then here and what, all over. Then I got my acrylic paints and I painted all these little triangles. And I spilt something here, first thing. So then I thought, well, what am I going to do? So I put another one over here. Then I dropped something up here. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just put dots all around. Yeah, happy accident. And then the girls came over one day and I said, it looks kind of bare. And somebody suggested, why don't you write your grocery list in between here? So I used a Pigma brush pen, and it's waterproof. And by the way, these have all been washed first. So I did that, and yeah, so that worked okay. The colors came out quite nice. I used them quite thick. I didn't water them down at all. And then the
I hate to know that they were just like dollar store acrylic.
yeah, dollar store acrylic. Yeah. And then this side, I used my Pigma pen again, felt pen, brush, Pigma brush, which is waterproof. And then I used a Pigma pen to draw my little things on here, because I thought, well, it would be a bit of a resist because it's waterproof. So then I colored them in after, and I dropped a blob there, so I made it into a butterfly. And
Did you heat set yours?
yes, yeah. So that was that one. And then the next one was, I wanted to do some flowers. So I got a waterproof felt pen and did around the edges of the flowers, because I thought, I'm going to use watercolor in here, and I don't want it to run.
Did you mix it with medium?
No, no. I just, it's called Permanent Blue, and it's a staining watercolor. So I haven't washed these yet, so we'll see what happens when I wash them. Well, yeah, right. And then here I used my parallel pen for Happy Day. And then the other, oh, I put sparklies on here too from the acrylic paint, sparklies and more dots. And then this side, I put the bag inside, and then I wetted this whole thing, so it was quite wet. And then I did the acrylic watery and let it spread. And then I went back in and did some darker things because it was kind of washed out looking. And then a felt pen, a waterproof felt pen for this, the dots in the middle of the flowers. And then I wrote smile at the bottom and hung it up on the chair. And then in the morning, I got up and looked at it, and it had all run down. An awful mess. I was not smiling.
It's lovely.
Yeah, and anyway, so I could barely see where I'd done the smile, so I wrote it on there again. And then the girls came over one day, and Ruth said, I never even noticed that. She said, I just saw the smile. Figured it was a vase, but I said, it's crooked, it's over here, it should be, anyway.
Don't tell anyone.
So then the makeup bags, this one was just a simple little thing. I put the plastic inside and just did pigment pen around to as a resist, and then just the acrylic paint inside. And this side, I thought, well, I'll try some watercolor, and I without the resist on the outside, and it ran. And I haven't washed these, so it's going to go, I would think, because I don't think these are staining colors, but that is a pigment pen, and it's waterproof, the hummingbird. Yeah,
What's to prevent the watercolor paint from running out when you wash it?
nothing. I'm going to try it. I haven't washed it yet.
That's the question.
Yeah.
Some of the watercolor paints are actually dyes, aren't they?
Well, if it's a permanent watercolor, but I don't think these are. This one was, the blue, but I don't think these ones are. So we'll see what happens when I wash it. And then the other, oh, here, that was that one. And this one, I used the Pigma felt pens, brushes, and they're waterproof. And I just did him in waterproof and the acrylic for his bow and beak. And then this one, I did a mandala, and I drew it out with my compass and all that first underneath. And then I used the acrylic, the mandala dot tools, and I brought them to show if anybody hasn't seen them. They're all different sizes, and then you have these little things for the dots around the edge, these little tiny dots. And these ones you dip like this into your paint, and then you just go and yeah, it's a lot of fun. And then once it's dry, you can go back in with a smaller one, put a smaller one in the middle, and there's endless things you can do with these. So
Violet's just reminded us that the Zoom people can't hear the question, so when someone asks a question, you have to repeat the question for the Zoom people.
oh, okay.
So that they can hear what the question was.
What was the question? Okay. Okay, that's it. And now Diana Carthwidden is going to show you her things.
Okay, I'll be quick. This was a new toy for me, and these are called Sharpie Creative Markers, and you get 12 in a pack. And they are, no, they're not waterproof. I think they probably would wash out. But they have a little brush. Yeah, a little brush, and they're very juicy. I noticed Ruth had some acrylic markers. She got a lot more in her box than I did. These only came in, these are only a pack of 12 for $35 on Amazon. I think Ruth got a whole pile for $35, but they're acrylic, and these ones are not. These are like markers. So that it was a little bit hard because of the texture of the bag, and they don't bleed through though, which is kind of nice. Yeah, so that was nice. Then I did this bag with the same markers, the Sharpie markers. Let's give them something to talk about. And then the next side I did was these, I forgot to bring my samples, but they're Inktense markers. Watercolor pencils. Oh, yeah. These are, no, they would probably wash out too unless you heat set it. They're like watercolor pencils.
If they're heat set, they will be absolutely permanent. Yeah.
Watercolor pencils.
Yes.
They are not the watercolor pencils, but the Inktense pencils.
How do we make this back? I'm just going back a bit. Kazi, how do, just hold this?
Oh,
Sorry.
you okay? Did you want to go back?
Oh.
That's as far back as it goes.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah, that's,
okay.
that's zoomed right out.
okay. So this bag, I used the Inktense pencils and I just colored on to start with. It was all stripy, and then I got a huge brush full of water and smeared it on, and it was pretty messy, but it was fun. And then that was just done with these little markers again on the side. And I haven't washed them, I didn't pre-wash them, I haven't post-washed them. So if I wanted this to not wash out, I would probably heat set it with Charlotte's iron. Okay, who's next? Ruth.
How to show this? Facing me, okay. So this is a bag like you have. I didn't wash anything. This was done with graphite with a pencil. This was done with Sumi ink, and this was done with acrylic paint and a brush. And this was done with those lovely little bottles that Barb gave us, the teeny little bottles with the thing, and I put acrylic ink in them and then just drew with them. So that worked. This, I don't know if you want to do this, but I used my leaves that I'd pressed years ago, and I put them on with fabric medium, and then I painted leaves to match with acrylic paint. Not going to do that. This was a very, very, very cheap cotton and polyester t-shirt I got at a rowing regatta. Can't see. Oh, okay, I've got to put it down here. Put it. And what I did was, you have to see the top here. So it's upside down. Yes, it is. I'll tell you, it's supposed to be. Because what I did was I printed it out with my acrylic markers, then I put it underneath so I had something to copy. But what it does, it's telling me what to do when I'm rowing. Have a clean finish, lock on, arms straight, knees down, but it faces me as I'm wearing it. So if you've got it like that, I can see what I'm doing. But these are the 48 markers I got for $35. These are acrylic markers with a brush at one end and a thing at the other, and you write with them. You don't have to heat set them. You can wash them. Nothing is going to wash out. They're like a foolproof thing. On this one, this was a really, really expensive nightie my husband gave me, and it's linen. And so what I did on it, I used these markers, one of these markers, to do this. Underneath I put thing to copy, and I did. And I just used the green and the blue and it's not going to wash out. It's acrylic. It's good to go.
You could put your iPad inside your t-shirt.
Yes, you could put your light pad inside your t-shirt.
I would still
Heat set it even.
Yeah, because even though it says it's acrylic, it can have some bleeding.
Yeah. This is a bag that I've made for, and this is for Barb Qualley. And so I just used Sumi ink and a big brush. With all the things that we've been doing, you just have to take a breath and go and do it. And that's what I did. And so what I'd like you all to do is today, and if we're at Barb's for the potluck, and I hope we are, then I want you all to sign the back using some of these. Yeah, we can set it up over there. And over there you can see I've done lots of different things, and I've got it all labeled what I've done. This was green ink. Didn't work so well. It's bled, but it's not awful. And then I've done different things with Sharpies. And that's just a parallel pen and green ink. Not washed on, not heat set.
Where did you find these pouches at the dollar store?
These bags that I have, plus I got 10 bags and 10 of these for $40. So for 20 items, these are $2 each.
Wow.
Amazon. So if you want to give your friends or your family a gift or a thank you gift, or you're going out for dinner, you do something on a bag. It's cost you $2. It's probably even cheaper than a card.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, let's have the microphone.
Excuse me.
I'm coming back, Charlotte.
So do you do these at Clayton? No, you just did it for this program.
Okay, thank you guys. I really appreciated all the work they put into this, the samples, because I would have been up till midnight every night for weeks. So what we're going to do is we're going to get started on today's project, which I think is going to be fun. So in the trays, I kind of gave you a piece of cardboard. You can use it as your surface, or there's some butcher paper. You can use that underneath so it doesn't bleed. There's some pieces of, what's it called? Paper from the newspaper, newsprint. Like you want a surface that might be a little bit softer. And then I've given you, here is a bunch of stuff that I'm going to set up if you want to try any of these mediums after. I'll explain. Somebody just asked how to mix it, and I'll just go over that with you. So this I'll just set up over with the other stuff. I gave you each this is a little mixing container. I put a little straw in your boxes.
To blow?
No. So the mixing medium, you do it, now I use my wine opener if you need help opening your container. So it's 2 parts of your paint to 1 part of your fabric medium. So what I've given you the straw for is, you know how you can sort of we're just going to switch so I can show you. So you take your straw, and you just cover don't cover the end, stick it in, cover the end, and you have about like a squeeze of acrylic paint. In our case, we're going to use the gouache, and So it's about, just think about 2 little tubefuls of your gouache paint. Or your- And then you always want to use a mixing brush. Don't use your good brush to blend those colors. So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking it's a little thick. It might work with a brush, but it's not going to work with a nib. So I'm going to add a little bit more medium. Oh, it's,
So about the thickness of whipping cream.
yes, like what you're going to do, I always keep a little piece of fabric to the side so I can test this. These, these little tools are from contact lens cases, and they've got they're kind of like, they're quite sturdy, and they sit, they're in the baskets. You need to have some water on hand, and you need to have a cloth on hand if you've got it, or paper towel.
Are there any little pieces for practicing on?
No, paper. Okay, so how are we doing in the room? Okay, well, we could do a follow along of the alphabet, or you can just start, you know how when you start a calligraphy class and you just start making some diagonal lines and some squares, you can start doing, you can draw some lines on your paper. And one of the tools that I like is these friction pens. Because when you use these friction pens, you can draw the lines.
Please, it's talking.
You can draw some lines for yourself.
X-O-N.
Frixon. And there's another brand, there's a couple other brands. But what's really nice about this is you've made your guidelines, and then when you heat set it, they all disappear. No. But you can use your just your graphite pencils if that's. I'm probably not going to wash this bag. Yeah. I would caution about using a Pilot parallel pen with acrylics, especially acrylic paints, because you're going to have to do a really, really thorough clean of the nib. Even if you just use the nib as a load nib, you don't put any medium in the cartridge, it's still going to be hard on your pen. So you know that you should always start with a wet brush. So you should wet your brush first before you put it in any medium. I just have a little water here. And then give it a bit of a dry out with your piece of paper, your cloth that you brought with you. I like to clip down my fabric. So that's why you got some clips in your boxes. And that just keeps your fabric a little bit tighter, and then you've got a smoother surface to work from, which you'll have to readjust. So I'm going to test out what I've mixed here. And all this mini stuff. So I'm going to dip my brush, and I'm going to make my first marks. I'm going to do Neuland because it's nice and flat. And I'm quite happy with that consistency, but if it doesn't go on and it's not nice and thick, you're going to want to maybe add a little more water. If you're adding, or you can add water or medium at this stage. So if I want to add water, I'll just dip my brush into the water, and then I work some of the medium, and I usually do it in a palette so that I've got a spot to do this with. And then I just keep adding water to it. So if I do this mark, now I'm really happy because that didn't bleed anywhere. But let's say I added too much water. Now I'm going to have possibly bleeding. It's not going to be as nice a thin line.
It gets lighter as you go.
Yes.
What did you use to draw your lines with, Charlotte? Just a pencil?
I drew my lines with this thing called a friction marker. Pilot makes it. And you're gonna find that the consistency of your medium has to change depending on the tool you're going to use. So if you were going to use like a speedball nib, you're going to find that you probably won't be able to use as thick of a medium, so because it just won't flow. So you're going to have to find the right consistency between, adding water. Let's see where we get with this. And the other thing you're going to find out is that you might have to go over your lines more than once. I'm having good success here right now, but I've had some that, especially if you're using a coarser fabric, you're going to have to go over your lines a little more often.
The grain of the fabric helps you do a straight line.
Yeah, somebody said that the grain of the fabric helps sometimes with your line work being nice and straight. Sometimes you'll put the medium down, and then the next thing you know, 5 minutes later it's bleeding. And there's nothing you can do about that other than you could use one of your other tools to create an edge along it, just to try and clean it up. So just play, have some fun.
Do you want us to sign Paulette's bag too? We're supposed to sign Paulette's bag too?
Yeah. If I could just have your attention for 1 second. There are 2 bags at the front for signing. If you get a minute, can you go up there and sign it with one of the acrylic pencils? Or whatever tool you want to do it with.
And sign Barb Follies too.
Oh, where is that going to be? The other thing you're going to want to do is clean your nibs frequently. So, because it's going to build up and dry off. So just give it a clean up every once in a while. The other thing about using this stuff is that you're going to use twice as much or more of the medium than you would on a piece of paper. So if you're mixing it up and going to do some artwork, Make sure you got enough of the color mixed that you want to use. I'm not going to play anymore. I'm going to just let you guys, do you want to play?
I'm just kind of working on mine here.
Oh. These tea towels that I got that are pre-washed, they're made out of flour sacks. And one of the ideas that I saw in a book that I'm going to try is taking a old family recipe and creating it on the tea towel and then giving it to your kids as a gift. So there's plenty of ideas to use your finished product. And even like Paulette says, her bag can just be used for anything, because who knows any better if it's a good calligraphy piece or you know, just have some fun with it. So you got 10 minutes to listen to my tips. Okay, brushes that have good snapbacks are better than soft brushes, I already said. Nibs that are soft are better than flexible. Pilot parallel pens should be used with caution. You may need to build up your layers depending on your fabric and what you want to achieve. So maybe all you want is to have the essence of lettering, and you might be doing layering of lettering. So, you know, it's going to be free up your creativity. If the medium is too diluted with water, it might bleed. A cream-like consistency is a good place to start. Blobs are opportunities for graphic and artwork. It's often hard to clean up a blob after it's happened, or a bleed on a letter. And I've got my chicken apron over there, and I had some places where it bled, and I used a white acrylic paint to kind of minimize where my black blob bled. And it isn't too bad, but I know it's there. Ensure that your fabric is lint-free. So if you're using a linty fabric, it's going to collect in your tool, and then it's going to collect your medium, and then you're going to have not crisp lines. Places to get your material: Fabricland off the internet. I bought the tea towels off of Amazon Prime. I believe Paulette got her bags from some place as well. Ruth got some from Amazon. They're a pretty good deal if you want to buy 40. You can you can get the art medium at even just craft stores, because I believe if you've got a coupon for Michael's, you might get a deal. There are places you can buy pens off Amazon, art stores, iron oxide. She gives us 10% discount, so that's always nice. You probably have everything you need right now, except maybe the heat medium in your toolbox. So I don't think you need to go out and buy special material or special paints, because you can pretty well use stuff you already have.
Is this heat medium?
Yes, this GAC 900 is a heat set fabric painting medium. You still have to heat set after you've used it. It will make... Okay, for heat setting, my favorite trick is to put a piece of parchment paper down on your... Somebody asked about whether you need a cloth or something. So my favorite trick is to put the parchment paper on your ironing board, and then put your put this on upside down over top, and then iron the back so that you get the heat and the hitting the medium better. You can always add more details after you heat set it, so don't feel like you're finished and you're unhappy. Make sure you let it dry for 24 hours before you try to do anything with it, like heat set it or wash it. Wet on wet painting can create some beautiful backgrounds, as we saw with Judy's piece. What else? Oh, and like you can use 100% cotton. You can use old, for practice, old sheets that you have in your house. Good practice things. You might want to make sure they're natural fibers, but maybe for practicing it's not that important.
I like the idea of pillowcases in a guest room.
Yeah, pillowcases in a guest room. Yeah. Linda Lax suggested you put guests stink after 3 days, and maybe you could put like fish motifs on it. The other thing you can use for your fabric painting is stencils. And, you know, that's more of your background that you want to have, but you can also use stamps. And I was researching that, and if you use archival inks that are in your, oh, I'll just show you the stencil that looks really beautiful. So Paulette just put this stencil, and then of course the complementary colors, it just looks so good. The red and green. Thank you. You can use stamps and stamp pads. There's some trefoils over there that my Girl Guides did once. Well, I'm going to clean up and get ready for the next step. So make sure you clean your brushes really well, because they now have an acrylic, and when they dry, they are going to dry stiff, and you won't be able to get that out very easy.
Did you say to bring these bags to the next meeting at this potluck?
If you want to show and share, you could, but you don't have to. I think Ruth's going to bring her bag. Oh, hi, everybody. After the meeting, I'll send these 2 tea times that I've done on this this program today
Great.
to whoever's going to send it out for me.
Send it to Barbara and she'll send them out.
Okay, I'll send it out to Barbara, so you'll get a copy from Barbara.
Thank you, Charlotte. That's lovely. We're going to have a little coffee break here until 11 o'clock. Thanks.